Everyone wants more money, but most of us weren't taught how to create an abundant life. That's where the law of attraction, manifesting success stories show comes in. If you are ready to have more money, create more freedom, and experience more fun, turn the volume up. It's time to learn how to create the prosperity and life you have been dreaming of. Here's your host, Cassie Parks.
Hello and welcome to this episode. I am your host, Cassie Parks, and I am back with Kate for interview number 14.
Wow.
I know, it's awesome.
It is awesome.
So tell us, how has your future self been showing up?
Oh, she has been showing up, I do have to say, patience, very patient. And we can definitely talk more about that, but and calm.
Awesome.
Those are the big ones. Yes.
That's amazing.
And can I just say I missed that question?
Yes, you can.
Okay, good.
Yeah. And why? Like, why do you miss it?
Because I love being around my tribe, and I'm not around my tribe right now. And it's just for now. It's not forever. And so that I'm not letting that get to me. So I can't wait until I hear that every week. And I do have to say that, not being around that all the time, it's harder. And it doesn't have to be harder, but it is, because you're not constantly reminded, and you're not in that environment all the time with like-minded people. So
I totally get that.
Yeah.
Well, what's awesome? Give us some awesome.
I have a list. I actually wrote it down.
Yay!
In my I Am Successful book that I keep track of.
Which is an assignment. I don't know if we said that on this show, but it is an assignment to build that belief and to see yourself as I am successful.
Yes. And that is something I still do. And on the inside is I get invited to events, not create them. So.
Yes. Yay.
So I constantly have that up. So what's exciting? So I met, because I picked up a part-time job just for the interim, and and I know I said it in the past couple of interviews that this job was perfect. And, of course it was, right?
Of course.
Of course.
Because even when we mess it up, we can't mess it up, right?
You can't.
Unless you totally stop doing anything. Like, you've already set so much in motion that as long as you keep in touch with your future self, she's going to keep in touch with you.
Absolutely. And she sure has, because I picked up this part-time job. They had some layoffs. As a temp, I was able to stay, and more opportunities or more responsibilities was given to me. So I asked for a raise, and I got it.
Yay! Yay!
How awesome is that?
That is amazing.
Yes. And another amazing thing with this position, it was just meant to be. Obviously it was. Because I created it. But I met with this naturopathic doctor who works for the company. She lives in Colorado.
Oh, awesome.
And her and I met together yesterday, and we're talking about me doing some educational content for the company, and for also doing some consulting for the company. So I'm really excited about that. There's nothing set in stone yet, but the HR lady reached out to me. She goes, I want to hear how it went with Dr. Erin. I want to hear and she's the next step, because Dr. Erin said to me, these are the next steps, because I asked her, so what can I do to move forward to make this happen? And she goes, meet with HR and see how we can work out the pay. And she said, and start meeting with the marketing people and asking if they need content so you can help share your voice in our blog. And I was like, oh my gosh, I would love that. So yes. And then we'll be looking at doing some corporate programs, which I've always wanted to do.
Yes.
So that's exciting. And my old company reached out to me and wants me to do stuff with them too. So
amazing.
So all of this is opening up. Let's see. I want to just make sure I'm hitting everything. I got asked to cater a holiday party for next month. So I'm excited about that. So I'll be catering for a holiday party.
That's amazing.
And I'm getting noticed for my podcast. I had Brad Kearns reach out to me from Primal Blueprint and the podcast there. And he said, Kate, people are telling me that I need to listen to your episode. Did you have any like prominent guests on there recently? Because a lot of people are telling him that he should listen to my podcast because it's really good.
Yes.
So I'm excited about that too. And then I had, let's see, one other thing that was really exciting. People at work are asking me a lot of nutrition questions because they know exactly what I do. So I think that's going to be, it's just, for me, that is more of it's happening because it's, they're asking me these questions. They know I'm the go-to person for that. So that makes me super excited about that too.
That is amazing.
Yeah. And I got nominated for a TED Talk.
Yay!
Yes.
Of course you did.
Of course. And the other thing is I need to, well, without talking to you first, but I have decided I do want to do a book, and I think Maggie Reynolds will be very excited about that.
Yeah.
But I've had like 5 people tell me within the past 2 weeks that I need to do something like that. And it's actually starting to sound better and better. Before it was like, ugh, no.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh yeah, that sounds kind of like I wouldn't mind doing that, but it's got to be inspired. So
yeah, right.
Yeah.
And that's the key, is the inspiration. And I love that you said, like, I haven't talked to you yet. Cause like, like we've talked about this before. Right.
Yes.
And I'm like, because it just has to be in alignment with your future self. And sometimes, I think Maggie is great. And it's just so interesting because if somebody doesn't have your future self in any sort of, what do I want to call it? Like business development in mind, cause business ideas are a dime a dozen. And there's a lot of ways to make business work. And so when you go to somebody and you say, and I've learned this, it's so interesting that you're bringing this up today because as we're recording this, I just changed the name of the podcast to Manifesting Success Stories. Did you see it? Okay, cool. Because I didn't know. I didn't know when that was going to come out. But what I've been reflecting on a lot, knowing that, is going back to the beginning of this process with the podcast. And I hired someone because I wanted it to be successful and I wanted all these things. And they were kind of awful. And I don't mean that in that they probably were hitting a lot of check boxes, but they couldn't see my vision. They didn't ask the right questions. Like when I look back at it now, I'm like, and they didn't have a big enough belief about what was possible. Right. I'm certain they wouldn't believe that this would be an amazing podcast and have as many views as it is and be inspiring people and work. Right. Because I just feel like they wouldn't have seen that. And so it's had to go through its own evolution and like hitting like Manifesting Success Stories, which is actually, it'll be interesting when this comes out if I've actually shared this before in some other way, but I started working on that 6 months ago. I knew the title, I knew the image. I had the intro and outro made months ago. Awesome. I just wasn't inspired to pull the trigger.
I knew it was coming because a lot of our interviews were welcome to this episode. It didn't have a title.
It's right.
So I'm like, something's coming. I just don't know when.
Yeah. Cause I was like, well, we have all these, because we record so far in the, in the future, past, whatever you want to say. Like, I was like, I am just going to stop saying the name of the show. Like, cause I don't know when and I'm not going to worry about it. Like, I can do it however. Like, obviously somebody knows what podcast they're listening to.
Right. It says it on the picture.
Right. I'm like, I don't think anyone's going to be confused when they hear my voice, but it says it in the intro, but it's just one of those things that we get so caught up in. And finally one day I was like, just say this episode. So yeah, you caught it.
I did. And I was going to, every time I keep forgetting because I listen to it and then I don't talk to you, right, on a regular basis. So it slips my mind every time. And after we hang up the interview, I'm like, oh, I forgot to ask her. So it was really, really evident when this last one with Mia, and I heard it, and then, I had already seen the picture too. So it definitely was the reason why she did that.
Yay, that's awesome. And that's totally your hand in the picture.
I know. I was like, that's my picture. That was my first 10K picture.
Yeah.
My photo shoot.
Yeah.
That one. I remember the fingernail polish and the drink.
Right. And the drink and the way, and that's one of my all-time favorite cheers pictures. I mean, I love them all, but that's just one of like, there's just, I don't know, of super magic about that one.
There is tons of magic.
Yeah. But yeah, to kind of bring that back, we got in this exciting thing is like, if somebody is helping you with your business, so they'll make any idea work. And people who are good at business, you know, I got interviewed a couple weeks ago, and somebody said, you know, when I first met you like 7 years ago, I was like, this girl is a natural entrepreneur. And it was interesting, but I was like, oh yeah, because I can see so many ideas, but it's the ideas that are connected to your future self. And it's the same with people who are good at business and putting things together. If they can have a million ideas, but if they don't know your future self, they can totally take you down the wrong path.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And like you said, Maggie is amazing and she's wonderful. But yes, I have to know that too about myself and where I want to go. So I think it's great that it's popped up so many times.
Yeah.
And I think it's definitely something that I do want to do. I'm not in any rush to do it. And I want it to feel good to do it. Because there's been a lot of things that have been popping up that they're whispers, and I'm like, oh, that sounds great. And I haven't acted on them yet, which is kind of funny. And when I left the wellness center, and started working for this company, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to leave Fridays open to see my clients. And as you know, I see them every other week.
Yeah.
Well, I've made it so that every other week it's the same, you know, it's clients on the same day. And then the opposite Friday, I do, you know, like admin stuff or my intention was to visit practitioners and get out there and introduce myself and build a good, you know, base. And haven't done that yet. I have a list of all of them. And I honestly did that 3 or 4 months ago. And I still haven't done that yet. And because it doesn't feel inspired to do it. At the time it felt inspired. And then I was like, but it's not working out. If I do it, it's going to be forced, and I don't want to force it. So I haven't done it. And
I love it.
The list just sits there. I see it. And I have, like, tomorrow is supposed to be that Friday that I'm supposed to go visit, like, quote unquote supposed to, practitioners, but I'm going for a ride, and I'm going to go do a bike ride at a place that I haven't been to in a while with a friend I haven't seen in a long time. And so to me, that is stepping into my future self, because my future self would be happy and doing something she enjoyed and doing something for her and being, you know, with friends. And that's what I'm going to do, because the script that I do and that I still do is about me biking with some friends. And this tomorrow, how it's going to play out is exactly that way, because we're riding early enough that I'm going to get up, I'm going to do my scripting, I'm going to do all that. And then I'm going to head out to ride with them, and then do my normal day of, you know, getting the work done that I normally do. So it's like following my script to a T, other than the temperatures that are going on out there. It is so much my future self that it's crazy. And so I'm like, why fight that? I'm not going to force going to see these practitioners when this is what I should be doing. And it feels right. The other stuff doesn't feel right.
Yeah. And, you know, by being your future self on that bike, like, you're going to get like, things are going to come to you, right? Like, instead of you going out and trying to make it happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's already proving so, because I have my old company reaching out to me. I have a couple of other people that reached out to me through my website that have found me. So it's not like I'm really working hard. I am at the other company, but I'm not with this, and they're still finding me. So it's more and more reinforcement of the trust that I need to have. And that's what I mean by patient and calm, because there, you know, as I mentioned in the last episode that we did, the interview we did, I didn't have money. I was always asking for help. And this last month that went by, I didn't have to ask for help. And it's looking like I'm not going to need it this month either. And so I'm super excited about that. We're not done yet. I mean, we still are a little over halfway, but it looks like I might not need any help again. So I'm back on track. I think a lot of it was the resistance we talked about, or quote unquote resistance.
Yeah.
But also, I think what kind of took a while for me to get out of was the overwhelmed feeling that I had. Because, okay, now I had a balance. the balance that we talked about before I left, I was loving and I was afraid to lose.
Yep.
And I did lose, right?
And we talked about it, right? Like I was afraid to lose it and I lost it. Like,
and I lost it. But guess what? I have it back. And so I've got an awesome rhythm, and I have added work on top of that, and I still have my rhythm. So I'm super excited about that. Talk about patience and calm. So that, and not only that, I've had a newfound relationship with myself, like, so all of this is starting to come undone. David and I had a serious talk. It's like, okay, we need to either fix this or move on. And we are trying to fix it and see if it works. And I'm just being me and doing me and being happy and giving him that space to follow. And I think it's a different level than the last time we talked about this. And so I think it's just kind of, I'm finding myself again. I'm getting back on track, and I was lost a little bit. And that's why I say that. But I'm back on track, and it took me longer because I didn't have you there to help me with that. And so I always tell everybody, if you need a coach, you got to go to Cassie. And I'm telling you, it's easier when you have someone and you surround yourself with people that are doing the same exact thing. And the way I equate that is kind of like I do with my clients with nutrition. If you're not surrounding yourself by the way that, or even exercise or lifestyle, let's just say lifestyle. If you're not surrounding yourself with the same people that have the same lifestyle, it's harder and for you to get to where you want to be. It's so much easier if you're around the same kind of people, the same philosophies.
Yes.
You get there faster.
You do.
Yes.
You so much faster. And and it's just so true. Like I think about it with nutrition and just like everything I learned for you, or all my intuitions that you confirm just kind of when we hang out together. And I'm like, of course, I mean, I never question whether your clients need you, but I'm like, yeah, you need her, because there's too much. Like I even catch and I'm like, oh man, like I totally get it, obviously, because I'm a coach. I believe in coaching.
Yes, you do.
And the most important thing I actually wanted to say about that is I'm so excited for you because, you're just getting this new level and this new feeling of it's okay. Because I think there was still in those times, before a couple months ago when you were still at the wellness center, like you were really still trying. Like in theory, you were
forcing.
Yeah. Well, I think you in that moment you thought maybe that you weren't forcing it.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
But you really were. And so you have this newfound of like, oh, I don't even really have to be doing my biz, this is the magic. We just had a conversation about in the Enchanted Circle, and someone's like, oh, I didn't think scripting, I thought I had to do a lot of other things. I'm like, no, like this, and be your future self and do the assignments is it. And you are really, I think sometimes we force ourselves into the places that we need to be. And this is what you needed. You needed to see like, oh, I can be my future self. I can let go of my business and it can be created, because when it starts to be like, it will be a whole new level because you know what this feels like now.
Absolutely. And I think I needed to, and I kept saying that to myself too. It's like, you needed this. I mean, who'd have thought that something that seemed so tragic had a huge silver lining and then some.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I even, one of my friends reminded me of that this morning. She's like, how exciting is that when you thought you had hit quote unquote rock bottom is what she said. And she goes, and it really, she goes, you rose up above that and more, and she's right. I have. And when you're in the midst of, I shouldn't say you, when I was in the midst of that, it was harder for me to see because I didn't have someone to go through it with, I mean, I did in the beginning, but I wasn't open. I didn't share a lot of that. And so, and that was a lesson learned there too. I've learned that I need to communicate better, and I'm learning that even with David. That's something that I've had to learn quite a few times. So it's just on a different level. It's almost like the trust, and it's almost like all the growing that we've done it's been over a year. Just everything is just on a different layer. It's just deeper. It's always the same comes down to the same thing, but deeper.
Yeah, it does. And someone on a call just mentioned the other day, they said, I was dealing with this relationship thing, and I went back and I remembered an interview you did with Kate, and where her and David had to have, a financial conversation. And it looked like it was, quote unquote bad, but it was really about future self. Like, you had to lay that groundwork. If you're going to have bigger financial conversations, you had to do that work. And, so you can hear that in a past interview. If you want to go back and find it, just look for Kate's interviews. But this feels the same to me. It's like like when your business takes off in the whole new way that it's so fun because I can see it, and I've always been able to see it, but I'm like, oh, it's so I can almost touch it for you right now, right?
Yes.
And I mean, you had to learn this, I have to show up and I have to, say I'm scared or I'm resisting or this, and get the help that I need, because if it's just so that when your business is bigger, you're not learning that lesson when it's a major crash.
Right.
And
it's so true, because I had to say that to David. And there was a couple of times this past few weeks that I've said something, and he picked up on it right away. And he goes, wow, good for you for saying that. He goes, I really appreciate you sharing your feelings. And I was like, thank God he didn't come back at me as oh, but this and this and this, and reminding me of all the stupid stuff that I did in the past, and the wrong mistakes I made. He didn't even do that. He was just like, no, it's almost like he wiped the slate clean, and which was great. And it's so refreshing, but it's not because he's wiped the slate clean. It's because I'm moving closer to my future self.
Mm-hmm.
And because I'm now accepting who she is. And the fact that this TED thing was really an eye-opener for me, because that is what I do. That's who my future self is. She loves to talk and do some, do these big educational kind of seminars. And so this is just me stepping into that. It's one step closer. Multiple steps closer.
Yeah.
The fact that I asked for a raise is huge.
I know. Would you have done that in the past? I have that as a note. Yeah.
I have never done that in the past. And it was so easy. And the fact that I got an answer so fast, they're like, yes, not a problem. It was amazing. I was like, wow, that was easy.
Yeah, right?
So I had never done that before. So it was great. And I wasn't even nervous about it. I was like, well, if they say no, they say no. What's got that going to hurt? But the fact that I'm finding my voice and I'm stepping out and really saying how I feel and owning it.
Yeah.
It has been huge. Yeah.
Oh, huge. Owning it. I love that.
Yes. That's my favorite book. And I actually read it again. So since we haven't worked together, I've been reading your books just to keep you in my head and constantly keeping me on task. And I love that. And my scripting is in the afternoon, and it's writing. It's not like typing, because I just haven't, there's something about the writing that I absolutely love.
Yeah, I love it. I used to do that a lot. Yeah. It's all perfect.
I don't know what it is. It just feels great. And so I've been doing that in the middle of my afternoon, which has been huge for me, because I've always done it in the morning.
Yes.
So I'm liking the afternoon. It's kind of breaking up my day for me, which is awesome. Yeah.
I can feel that. And I can feel how that's awesome. And it feels awesome when I hear you, that it feels like you felt into that, not like, oh my gosh, how do I do this? How do I fit it into my day? Right.
Yeah. And before the weather was cold, I would sit outside on the curb and do it.
Yeah.
And the building is right at the end of the runway. And guess what? All the planes flew right over me.
Oh my gosh.
And what does that remind you?
Your script. Yes.
So I love that. I mean, it's just been so awesome to have that. And I would listen to the birds. I'd listen to the wind. All of that stuff is in my script. So just putting myself in that position has helped me a lot too. To come around and really own up to who my future self is, because she's been wanting to come out since this past February.
Yes, she has. She's been like, hello.
Yes. So, and that was when everything I think started. When I look back and I
Mhm.
reflect, that's because that was like my largest month ever.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting because I always think about how, like you were doing what you could, right?
Mhm.
Like, yes, there was resistance to this growing, and I think that goes hand in hand with that largest month ever, because there's only so far you could go, collecting money or that sounds bad, but
I know what you
getting
mean.
paid that way. Yes.
Yes.
Right. Like that type of, like how your business was set up, there was only so big you can go. And so to me, it makes total sense that like, that was a huge month, and then it sort of broke because it was that resistance, and it was like you had to change or it was going to have to totally break down,
Yep.
and it's
And it was
okay.
but I have to add, you have to listen to your coaches. I mean, we
Mhm.
pay you for your advice and your guidance and your support.
You do.
Yes. When you give us our guidance and our
Mhm.
support and stuff to do, we should do that.
Yeah, give opportunities to ask questions. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And
You
for
should.
some
Yeah.
reason, someone needs to hear that because it just keeps coming up that, I think um, that was part of what I was going through, was just not
Mhm.
stepping in and not listening to it, because you knew what my next step was. And I
Mhm.
just wasn't listening to that. So
Yeah.
I'm back on track. I'm almost there again. I'm super excited. And my goal is to sign up for the Enchanted Circle again by January. So
Yay.
I'm on the right path. I'm super excited about that.
You are on the right path.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. And this, oh, it's just so awesome. And I like what I want people to take away what you just said, like listen to your coaches. If that is for you, like go, like just stop the podcast right now and go listen. If you've been avoiding something that your coach, like whether it's me or someone else has said, go do that. Like just
Yes.
push pause and go. That's most important. And the other thing I want to do is that this work is so powerful. Like you did put so much into it that even when it broke, like as soon as you got back to it, and like it, you can't undo what you had already done.
No,
Like she was already there, right?
yes.
You just had to let her in.
I just had to. She was standing right there, almost slapping me in the face. Like,
Yeah.
so you're right. I just had to let her in. I had to accept her. I had to
Yeah.
understand that I was worthy enough. I had to
Mhm.
understand that I had all the skills and I had everything I needed to be that person and to step
Mhm.
into her.
Do you think it was an understanding, a decision, or both?
I think it was more of a decision. I think
Yeah.
not I think I know I understood. I know I understood because of all the work that I've done. I know that I understood. It was just accepting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I want
And I
to,
think,
and oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and I think a lot of that was the worthiness part,
Mm-hmm.
and understanding that I am worthy of being able to have that. I am worthy of being able to be loved by David. I am, worthy enough to have help from David,
And
all of that stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And have your business and that worthiness. I mean, this is probably the third time this week that it's come up. Like it's at every level, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it doesn't mean like you're like thinking consciously all the time that you're not worthy, but you have to up level your worthiness every
Yeah.
time you up level. And so
Yeah.
it's just feeling worthy of becoming your future self. And that's a thing that you do over and over again. And it's not the same. It's like, oh yeah, I'm worth this. Okay, bring on the rest. I'm worth it.
Yes. Yes. And I think for me, though, I was hearing that in my head for me at first until I
Yeah.
jumped back into doing my homework.
Yeah.
Before I was doing my homework, it was easy for all that to set into my mind and to
Which
go
part?
with it. The talking bad to
Yeah.
myself and telling myself,
Oh yeah. So,
you're not worth this. You don't need this.
oh yeah.
That
Mm-hmm.
that I had not experienced as intense as that.
Really?
Yeah. And it was when I left the center, when I didn't have
Mm-hmm.
you guys anymore, that was when I was at that point where those voices were there.
Yeah.
But and it was even, I think it was the discussion between David and I, he said, okay, I can't help you,
Mm-hmm.
you need to figure this out. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he didn't say it like that, but,
Yeah.
and I was like, you're right. I need to start doing my meditation again. I need to start working out. I need to start scripting. I need to do the stuff that my future self always does.
Mm-hmm.
Do the homework.
Yes.
So when I started doing that, those voices went away, and that's when the healing started and me getting back on track.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy, sometimes for us to fall out of that, but it's also easy to get back in.
Yes. Oh,
And it
thank
was
you for
easy.
making the most. Yes. Sorry, I
Yeah.
didn't mean to cut
No,
you off.
I was done. It's so true though. Both ways is easy.
Yes. And
It's
that
the
is,
decision.
it
Mhm.
is the decision, and it's just doing it. And that is what I was trying to get to a couple minutes ago. You said it so clearly. It's easy to fall out and it's easy to get back in,
Yes.
especially when you let the judgment go.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
the weird, not the weird, because I get
Right.
this from you anyway, but I started with just a minute of everything. Not even working out, I just went down and sat in the basement.
Yes.
I sat down and just kind of looked at it. I was like, I used to love doing this. This is something that I enjoy. I need to start doing
Mm-hmm.
this again. And I think it was the first maybe week before I actually lifted a weight. I went into the room that I made my meditation area, and I would just sit there. I didn't even try doing the
Mm-hmm.
meditation. I sat there, I set a nice timer, I sat there for 2 minutes. And then same thing with my scripting. My book that you gave me when we were in Arizona, that's what I've
Mm-hmm.
been scripting in. And I
Yeah.
put that in front of me and I looked at it. Yep, that's the very book. I love it. And I sat there because I would open it up and I read what I wrote in there. I had everybody that went to the
Mm-hmm.
castle, and then I wrote what was showing up for me in the castle that represented my future self.
Yeah.
And I would read that, and I would sit there and read the cover. And so I sat there with it, and I set a timer. I was like, okay. And so each, time I sat there, it got a little longer and a little longer, until I actually started physically doing the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And it's so, I always love to give the backstory of inspiration. When I went to put together the assignments, like I had always just scripted, and some days I scripted like that, like for 1 minute and whatever. And sometimes it was 2 hours. And so when I went to I just let inspiration come over me, like, okay, what's the best way to put together the assignments so that they have daily assignments? And it's so I love that 1 minute, like it was for everybody, but it was for you, right? It's always for somebody. Like your inspirations are always for somebody. If you're a coach, like it's so important to trust those, because if I was earlier in my career, or I was a different person, it could have been easy to be like, why would I make an assignment 1 minute?
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
but that's why, because 1 minute matters. It's 1 minute is an infinite amount time more than zero.
Absolutely.
Infinite,
I totally agree.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I even say, even if it's a half a minute,
Yeah.
always do, as long as you're moving towards that and doing something that represents what it is you want to move towards, that is what you got to do.
Yes.
And to me, that's how I was able to get back into it, get those feelings again, and see, that, okay, I can get that balance back. I can make all this fit into my day.
Yes.
And it does. It's like clockwork now, and it's so easy. It's not even forced.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think towards the end it was forced, which is why I wasn't enjoying it. And now it's not. It's because I didn't want to lose that balance. It was fear again, right?
I can't change, right? And which is so interesting, because I think one of the other lessons you'll walk away from this is like that balance is always, it's about shifting. Like we just talked before the call about me changing my schedule, right? Which is really about keeping everything that I want, but making it feel even better.
Yes.
And so it's always going to change, but in the beginning, we're so afraid that if I change, I'll lose it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly, I know that's exactly what was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a lot of, ahas have come out of that. And I think even in our last interview, some were coming out in our interview.
Yeah,
I think for both of us.
Yes.
But it was also, even this one, I've got a lot of ahas out of this one too. And to me, it's just all good stuff, and it's all a part of growing, and it's all a part of my path and the path that I've chosen. And so I think, the biggest lesson that I do have to learn is stepping and owning into my future self. And I think that as easy as it sounds, and I say it and it's like, oh, Kate, that is so easy. What is wrong? Like, just do it.
Yeah.
But it's not that easy.
Not that easy.
So that's why, I feel that we do need that enchanted circle, and we do need you to help keep us on that path. Because I know it was a whole lot easier when I was doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And I can't wait for you to come back.
I can't wait either.
I have 2 more important questions. I'm not going to say the last ones, but you had mentioned it was like David gave you a blank slate. Do you think you actually gave yourself a blank slate first?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's a great way to say it, other than what I said when I said I'm the one that opened up the space and he's just moving into that. You're right. That's a better way to say that. Yeah. I definitely gave myself that.
Yeah. And I could see it, right? It was like, it was this blank space of no judgment. No, you should have. No, you could have. No, I wish I would have. Mm-hmm. But okay, I'm here. Let's just start, not start over, but let's just start now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. We did not share your new total yet.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
How did I forget that? Oh, the most important part.
Right?
Oh my gosh. I'm so glad you asked. Okay. So here we go. You ready?
Yes.
$160,455.89.
Yay! That's amazing.
It is amazing.
And I just want to put, that's pretty close to $8,000 more than on our last interview, which is awesome.
Isn't that awesome?
It is so awesome. And if we're in the, I always do this, the Enchanted Circle, I'll do it now. I always make you guys, let's tell the best story. That's $100,000 a year. Yes. That's like, you're just the last month manifesting $100,000 a year.
Right? That is so awesome.
So awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Just amazing.
It is amazing. And I do have to say, the pictures that you gave that before we started our call was from the castle. And I have been waiting for these. And it's so funny. You always send them at the right amount of time.
Right.
So my 10,000 photo shoot took a while to get to me too. Mm-hmm. And it was almost after I went through that situation with David that I got, guess what? I just went through a situation with David again, and now I'm getting these pictures. It's so funny how, now I'm going to be stepping into that feeling again when I start looking at these pictures, and they come at the right time. I don't know if I'm saying that good enough, if I'm really capturing what I'm trying to say, but I needed to be reminded of those feelings. Like the podcast came out.
Yes.
And I honestly, listening to all those women tell their story, literal tears. I think I left you a message with tears saying how much I appreciate you. And I knew you were on vacation, and I wasn't expecting you to reply. But I'm telling you, all of those emotions came back, and those feelings came back. I was like, this is exactly what I needed when I needed it the most. It was perfect. Absolutely perfect. And then now I'm in a space where I can actually see these because I'm there. I'm ready.
Yes. Literally see that, right?
Yes.
Own them and take them on and be like, oh yeah, there she is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm going to come at a better time. Thank you.
Oh yes. I love them. And I can't wait till you see the ones of us and the avocados. And
I forgot about that. Oh my gosh. Yes.
They're so awesome.
I'm so excited. Super excited.
Me too. I love it.
For everything you do. I am just so grateful for you. And so I can't say it enough. Everything that you do is amazing and has changed my life totally all around, not just with business, not just with, money is energy, but it's everything. It's all related. It's all tied in.
It is. Change your money story. Everything changes.
That's right.
I love it. Any final thoughts you want to share?
I think that the best thing that I'm going to share with your clients, like I do with mine, it's do something every day. every day, even if it's like what we said for a minute, even if you're just sitting in the space before you actually do it, like I did.
Yeah.
So helpful. And it just creates that energy, and I don't want to call it a habit. It's more energy than anything. And so even if it's for a minute, do it for a minute and do it every day. And if you do it for a minute for months, who cares? You're doing it for a minute.
Yes. Oh, and it's the energy. What you're doing is you're creating an energetic pull.
Yes.
That just hit me. We had a big habit discussion yesterday, and like it's the energetic pull versus I totally get. You're like, it's not a habit.
Right.
It's a pull. Yeah.
It's a pull. I love that. Yes.
I love it. Well, tell everyone where they can connect with you.
Thank you. Yes. So all social media for K8 for Wellness, and that's the letter K, the number 8, the number 4, Wellness. And I also have a podcast, which is also K8 for Wellness. So
yay.
There.
Yes. Check it out.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, this has been a total pleasure. So thank you for being sharing this moment in your journey with us.
Thank you for having me and let me share it.
Of course. And thank you all for listening. Make sure to come back and check out Kate's next interview.
Thank you for joining us on the Law of Attraction Manifesting Success Stories show. To learn how to attract more money into your life, go to your favorite book retailer and order Cassie's book, Manifest $10,000.